Michael is a quiet, just a little wallflower. He has no opinion about anything.
Yeah, right.
Michael, welcome to the Terry and Jesse Show, my friend. What's going on with fake Catholic Joe Biden?
Thank you, guys. No opinion whatsoever.
No.
Well, he's used the opportunity, of course, of International Women's Day as the launching pad to be able to say the following thing, quote, a whole of government effort. He's going to launch a whole of government effort to protect reproductive rights, to advance dignity, equality, and limitless possibilities for all, proving yet again that the fuel in the tank of American politics is abortion. Fake Catholic. We've done this a zillion times. No bishop is ever going to say anything about him. They may say, "Oh, that's not a nice position to hold," but they're going to let the sacrilegious Holy Communions go on. He gets, accosted essentially by the press, saying, "How are you, Catholic and in favor of abortion?" He goes, "Well, I'm going to discuss a theological issue with you." So, look, this crime, it is a moral crime, needs to stop from the top, and that means bishops having to step in and do this. We all know this. They will not enforce Canon 915. I went up to Bishop Boyer, who's the Bishop of Lansing, used to be the auxiliary bishop here in Detroit a number of years ago. I went up to him at our when we were in Baltimore for the Bishop's Enough is Enough rally. Saw him in the hotel, said, "Hi, Bishop, how are you?" And said, "Hey, how are you guys skating by in Canon 915? He said, "Well, there's a bunch of different ways you can interpret that. There's 100 different ways." I said, "Must not be admitted." There's not a big, lot of room there for negotiation on what that term means. And but I think importantly here, you're starting to hear more and more as we get close to the end of June, which is the end of the U.S. Supreme Court's spring term here. It's a little more than 3 months away, and as we get closer and closer to the end of that, that's when everybody's anticipating the Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Center case is supposed to be handed down. And again, abortion is the fuel in the tank of American politics. It has been since 1973. And as you watch this unfold and the Democrats position themselves in the case of Biden and them wanting to pass the Reproductive Rights Act in Congress, it's stalled in the Senate. All of this is going to spill over into the midterms. Is it going to spill over depending on what the Supreme Court does? Is it going to strike down Roe v. Wade? I suppose you could probably say most of the smart money is that it will not out and out strike it down. It will leave it sort of on the books, but it will largely gut it. In either case, the media is going to say, "Oh, this is why you have to vote for Democrats." And it might prove to be a good diversionary point in some of these close races, these kind of nip and tuck races between Republicans and Democrats, and might tip over to give the Democrats a little bit of a lead, because the media is going to be just pounding on this nonstop. But this is what Biden's doing right now. He's sort of, or the people who control him are rolling out this strategy right now with regard to abortion.
Michael, just to add one more thought, and not only in our country, but the UN is banning pro-life groups from attending conferences on the status of women because of that very issue. So we have to stop it in the bud. And right now, Church Militant, Virgin Most Powerful, lots of good organizations are standing up and saying we need to stand up for the unborn. And I appreciate you doing what you're doing. This is the news that you do every day, 4 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock, then in East Coast. And people are going to get more of this every single day. And Michael, what else is hitting the news
Let me jump in. Terry mentioned something. Let me just piggyback up with Mike.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff.
I would just say that it doesn't. You don't have to be a prophet to make the connection and connect the dots. That the reason we have wars, again, Our Lady of Fatima told us, is because of sin,
right?
The punishment of sin. Until we stop the killing of babies in the United States, we're going to continue having wars, and we're going to continue having horrible leaders, political leaders, and even spiritual leaders until we stop offending God, because what we're doing is spitting in God's face by killing innocent babies. That's my take.
Well said, Jesse.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe if the number I saw since 1973 across the world,
Yes.
there's been over 1 billion, that's with a B,
Yeah.
1 billion abortions. That's just beyond fathoming. And, yeah, the fact that we've had mostly peace in those years, except for, things here and there, we're not like another world war already, that's that alone is astounding. If war, as Our Lady said at Fatima, is punishment for sin, well, can you think of a more egregious sin than on the natural level of slaughtering 1 billion children?
Well said.
Yeah, this makes what King Herod did in the Holy Innocents. It makes it look like child's play. Yeah. Michael, tell us about nearly 70% of Americans. What do they believe about unelected Joe Biden?
They think he's nuts.
I'm with them.
They're finally coming along to say what we've been saying.
Yeah.
We were saying this back in the 2020 campaign.
Yeah, buyer's remorse.
Yeah, it's interesting if you look into the numbers. 70% say that it's almost 70%, it's close enough, say he's unfit to be able to serve his office. But when you go into the numbers, 34% of that 70%, 34% believe very strongly, outright believe he's unable, to actually be president and do the office, and another third doubt that it is the case. When you flip on the other side, less than a quarter respond that he's definitely mentally fit. Yeah. So think about this now, and you guys were just talking about it in your last segment, Ukraine and Russia, and of course the Chinese sort of poised across the water there to go to Taiwan.
Yep.
Only less than a quarter of Americans believe he's mentally fit. Well, what is that? What is the rest of the world thinking when they're seeing that? They have eyes and they have spies all over the place. They're seeing these numbers just like we are, just like you guys are, just like every media outlet in the country is. Yep. And they're going, you go back to the Chinese, for example, with the same way Russia is saying, Ukraine is ours, it's always been ours, we're just going to go get it back. Why didn't they do this under Trump? And the same thing that, as we know, the communists in Beijing have said, Taiwan belongs to us, that's us, that's us. They haven't done anything yet, firm yet, but there sure are some drums starting to pound quietly over there. So you can't have anything other than very strong leadership on the world stage, especially when you have the bodies you have in some of these capitals all over the world, they'll see the slightest little chink in the armor and they'll move in. So, so many Americans think Biden's just, eats, Gerbers, and, gets fed and has depends on. This is not how you portray a strong leader.
Yeah, that's for sure. What's your final topic for tonight's news?
A little disturbing here that the Canadian Parliament has allowed, they didn't pass legislation, but they have allowed the Canadian Bankers Association to essentially freeze people who donated to the convoy.
Horrible. Freeze
their accounts. There's another 250 accounts that the police didn't say, hey, these people are individuals, we need to freeze them. They just went in and did it themselves, Canadian Bankers Association. So, and the thing is, they're frozen for life.
Wow.
So, I'm sorry, they're flagged, my mistake. They're flagged for life, meaning they can just go in and look and see, what is this guy who gave money to the Freedom Convoy? What's he doing now? Is he sending money here? Is he sending money there? What's he doing? You're like snooping around under your mattress.
Yeah, horrible.
But this is the condition of the world right now. And you look at this and it's just this more and more combination. Because I think, Americans are pretty much accepting of the idea that the government and, giant tech and big pharma and, social media and media outlets and everything, they have come to believe that this is all just one giant force with different departments in it, monitoring their lives. But you move out of this to other parts of the world. It really is a new world order. And when you see that sort of thing happening in other countries, it's what's the little man supposed to do here? Really, how are you supposed to cope with this sort of thing when you're being monitored? In Sweden, they have a little chip and they stick it in this part of your hand right here, where your thumb and your forefinger meet down at the base, And that has all sorts of information. You just put it up to like a scanning machine, and they're like, oh, okay, you can go in. And it was originally the Vaxport thing, but you can put any information you want on a chip. Once you've got it in somebody, you can do whatever you want with it. So, scary times. Scary times. And of course, you hear no objection to any of this from any Catholic bishop anywhere. And in some cases, you actually have them applauding this sort of thing. So, wish I had cheerier news, but we don't make the news; we just report it.
And Michael, folks can go to churchmilitant.com to watch all the news, and not only the news, they have lots of other resources there. And I would recommend that people go there every single night to get their news and turn off, the news that you've been watching and that's been making you upset, and go right straight to Church Militant and get the news right there. That would be my take on it.
Absolutely.
That'd be my take too.
Yeah.
Well, you work for. I don't get paid to say that, Michael. I'm saying that objectively, that people need to know these things so that, again, we talked about the Fatima prayer from the angel about reparation for sacrileges. We need to be doing that, not only talking to the bishops and doing what you're doing at Church Militant, but reparation. Little grandma can do it. The kids can do it. We all can be part of the solution through our prayers and sacrifices. And I think that's something that, especially during Lent right now, is a special time. And we talked about Bishop Strickland saying that we need to make these reparation prayers for not only the problems in the state, but also in the church. And I agree with Bishop Strickland that needs to be done. So, Michael,
sure.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, let me just hey, Michael, congratulations on your new format. You got the Fantastic Four right there. And then you're kind of like the ringleader. That's a good format. You guys are putting out a good product, very entertaining, easy on the eye. Good job, brother. Good job.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I'll use that term tonight, and I'll attribute the quote to you, the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. They're easy on the eye.
Yep, got it. Thanks again, Michael.
So I heard.
Church Militant, don't forget, tune in every night. Church Militant News.